Have you ever wondered why a millionaire can feel broke while someone earning minimum wage feels rich? It's not about the numbers in their bank account. It's about something far more powerful. Here at Simple Money, we've analyzed thousands of financial decisions. We've watched people make choices that seem completely irrational. And what we've discovered is this: money doesn't just sit in your wallet. It rewires your brain. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how money changes the way you think, feel, and make decisions. And once you see these patterns, you'll never look at your own financial behavior the same way again. Here's what's really happening. Every single day, money is working behind the scenes. It's influencing your thoughts in ways you don't even notice. Think about the last time you walked into a store. Maybe you were just browsing, but then you saw that price tag, and suddenly, something shifted in your brain. You started calculating, justifying, rationalizing. That wasn't just you being smart with money. That was money controlling your thinking process. Most people believe they make rational financial decisions. They think they're in control. They'll tell you, "I only buy what I need. I'm good with money. I make smart choices." But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain doesn't work that way. Not when money is involved. Money activates the same neural pathways as cocaine. I'm not exaggerating. Brain scans show that when people see money, the reward centers of their brain light up exactly like they do with addictive substances. This means every financial decision you make is being filtered through an emotional system that evolved thousands of years ago. A system that has no idea what a credit card is. A system that doesn't understand inflation or compound interest or retirement savings. Your ancient brain is trying to navigate a modern financial world, and it's failing spectacularly. Let me show you the 5 specific ways money is controlling your thinking right now. The first one, I call the scarcity spiral. Here's how it works. When you don't have enough money, your brain goes into survival mode. It's not a choice, it's automatic. Your cognitive bandwidth literally shrinks. Researchers at Princeton and Harvard did a study that proved this. They gave people financial problems to solve. Then they measured their IQ. What they found was shocking. When people were worrying about money, their effective IQ dropped by 13 points. That's the difference between average and borderline deficient. That's the same mental impact as losing a full night's sleep. Think about what this means. The moment you start stressing about bills, your ability to solve problems decreases. Your capacity to think clearly vanishes. You become worse at the exact moment you need to be your best. This is why poverty is so hard to escape. It's not about character. It's not about work ethic. It's about your brain literally not functioning at full capacity because the stress of not having money is consuming your mental resources. But here's where it gets interesting. This doesn't just affect poor people. It affects anyone who feels financially stressed. You could be making 6 figures and still experience the scarcity spiral if you feel like you don't have enough. Your brain doesn't care about the actual number. It cares about the feeling of scarcity. The second pattern is what I call the relative wealth illusion, and this one is particularly cruel. Your brain doesn't evaluate money in absolute terms. It evaluates money in relative terms. You're constantly comparing yourself to the people around you. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you get a $10,000 raise. You should be happy, right? More money is objectively better. But then you find out your coworker got a $15,000 raise. Suddenly, that $10,000 feels like an insult. You're actually upset, even though you have more money than you did yesterday. This is your brain playing tricks on you. It's not calculating your wealth based on what you have. It's calculating your wealth based on what others have. Researchers call this reference dependence, and it's why lottery winners often end up miserable. They win millions of dollars. They move to expensive neighborhoods. They're suddenly surrounded by people who have even more millions. And now they feel poor, even with more money than they ever dreamed of having. Your happiness isn't determined by your bank account. It's determined by the gap between what you have and what the people around you have. This is why keeping up with the Joneses is so financially destructive. You're not actually trying to improve your life. You're trying to close a gap that will never close. Because the moment you catch up, you'll compare yourself to someone even richer. The third pattern is the delayed gratification blindness. This is about how money distorts your sense of time. Your brain is terrible at valuing future rewards. There's actually a mathematical formula for this. It's called hyperbolic discounting. Here's what it means in plain English. Your brain values $100 today way more than $110 next month. Even though waiting gives you more money, your brain literally can't see the future value clearly. But it gets worse with money, because money represents infinite possibilities. $100 could be dinner, or a new shirt, or part of a phone bill, or saved for a vacation. This paradox of choice makes your brain even more likely to grab the immediate reward, because the future is uncertain and vague, but that thing you want right now is concrete and real. This is why saving for retirement feels impossible for most people. You're asking your brain to value something 40 years from now against something you could have today. Your brain looks at that equation and laughs. It chooses today every single time. The people who successfully save aren't more disciplined. They've just found ways to make the future feel more real. They visualize their older selves. They create automatic transfers so they never see the money. They build systems that work with their brain instead of against it. The fourth way money influences your thinking is through what I call status signaling pressure. And this one connects directly to our evolutionary psychology. For thousands of years, displaying wealth meant survival. It meant you could attract better mates, protect your family, gain respect in your tribe. Your brain still thinks you live in that world. So when you buy an expensive car, or designer clothes, or the latest iPhone, you're not just buying an object, you're buying perceived status. The problem is, status is relative. And in modern society, there's always someone with more, always someone with a bigger house, a fancier car, a more expensive watch. This creates an endless arms race. You buy something to signal status, but it only works for a moment. Then everyone around you adjusts, and now you need something even more expensive to stand out. Companies know this. They exploit it. They market products not based on utility, but on status. They sell you the feeling of being successful, attractive, important, and your brain falls for it every single time. Because deep down, in that ancient part of your mind, you still believe that displaying wealth will keep you safe. Here's the particularly insidious part. The more you earn, the more you feel pressure to display that wealth. Doctors feel pressure to drive nice cars. Lawyers feel pressure to wear expensive suits. Tech workers feel pressure to have the latest gadgets. You're not buying things because you want them. You're buying things because you feel like you're supposed to, because that's what someone at your income level does. This is why high earners often have no savings. They make $200,000 a year and live paycheck to paycheck. Not because they're stupid, but because the status signaling pressure scales with income. The fifth pattern is the most counterintuitive. I call it the abundance paradox. You'd think having more money would make financial decisions easier. More options equals more freedom, right? Wrong. More money often makes you worse at making decisions. Researchers have found that people with more wealth become more disconnected from the value of money. Small amounts stop mattering. A $5 coffee? Who cares? A $20 parking ticket? Whatever. This sounds great, but it's actually dangerous, because those small amounts add up, and more importantly, you lose the ability to accurately value things. Someone who carefully tracks every dollar understands what things actually cost. They know that $5 saved daily becomes $1,800 a year. They can see the compound effect. Someone with abundance thinks, it's just $5. And they're blind to how those decisions accumulate. This is why so many wealthy people make terrible financial decisions. They've lost the ability to value money accurately. They'll drop $30,000 on a car upgrade without thinking. But someone who's been poor knows exactly what $30,000 represents. There's another layer to this. When you have money, you start believing your decisions are good because they worked out. You confuse luck with skill. You made a risky investment, and it paid off. So you think you're good at investing. You started a business, and it succeeded. So you think you're a genius entrepreneur. But really, you just had money to absorb the risk, and probably got lucky on timing. This overconfidence leads to bigger risks, more aggressive bets, and eventually, massive losses. But here's what nobody wants to admit. These patterns aren't bugs, they're features. Your brain evolved to handle immediate physical threats, predators, food scarcity, tribal politics. Money didn't exist for 99% of human history. Your brain has no built-in software for managing it. So it uses approximations, shortcuts, rules of thumb that worked for survival but fail for finance. The scarcity spiral helped our ancestors focus completely on finding food when resources were low. The relative wealth illusion helped us navigate social hierarchies. Delayed gratification blindness made sense when tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. Status signaling attracted mates and allies, and having abundance meant you could afford to stop obsessing over every resource. All of these made perfect sense 10,000 years ago, but in a modern economy with credit cards, compound interest, and retirement accounts, they're destroying your financial future. Let me tell you about Marcus. He's a software engineer making $120,000 a year. He should be thriving financially. But Marcus feels broke. He's got $8,000 in credit card debt. No emergency fund. He hasn't contributed to his retirement account in 2 years. Here's what's happening in Marcus's brain. He's caught in the relative wealth illusion. All his coworkers drive nice cars and live in expensive apartments, so he does too. He's experiencing status signaling pressure. He bought a $45,000 car because that's what successful engineers drive. He wears expensive clothes. He goes to trendy restaurants. He's blind to delayed gratification. Every month he tells himself he'll start saving next month. But there's always something he needs now. A vacation, a new laptop, concert tickets. Marcus isn't failing because he's bad with money. He's failing because his brain is working exactly as designed, for a world that no longer exists. Now let me tell you about Jennifer. She makes $70,000 a year, $20,000 less than Marcus. But Jennifer has $30,000 saved. Zero debt. She maxes out her retirement account every year. What's the difference? Jennifer understands these patterns. She's built systems around them. She automatically saves 20% of every paycheck before she sees it. This removes the delayed gratification problem. The money's gone before her brain can want it. She deliberately keeps friends who aren't focused on status displays. This short-circuits the relative wealth illusion and status signaling pressure. She tracks her spending obsessively, even though she has money. This prevents the abundance paradox from making her careless. When Jennifer feels financially stressed, she recognizes it as the scarcity spiral. She takes a walk, does breathing exercises, anything to calm her brain so it can think clearly again. The difference between Marcus and Jennifer isn't willpower. It's not discipline. It's not even intelligence. It's awareness. Jennifer knows how her brain is trying to sabotage her, so she builds defenses against it. Here's what most people don't realize. Your relationship with money isn't about money at all. It's about understanding your own psychology. Those 5 patterns, the scarcity spiral, the relative wealth illusion, delayed gratification blindness, status signaling pressure, and the abundance paradox, they're not character flaws. They're predictable patterns that every human brain follows. Patterns that made sense for survival, but patterns that will destroy your finances if you don't recognize them. The question isn't whether money influences your thinking. It does. That's unavoidable. The question is whether you're aware of how it influences you. Because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. You'll notice when you're caught in the scarcity spiral. You'll recognize when you're comparing yourself to others instead of evaluating your actual situation. You'll spot the moment your brain tries to grab immediate gratification over long-term value. And that awareness gives you power. Not to be perfect, not to never make mistakes, but to catch yourself before those mistakes compound into disasters. Money will always influence your thinking, but it doesn't have to control it. The wealthy people you admire aren't immune to these patterns. They just have better systems to counteract them. Systems you can build too, starting right now. Starting with simply noticing when your brain is being hijacked by one of these 5 patterns, because the moment you notice, you've already won half the battle.